Great stuff. Well, let us welcome to the stage. Please put your hands together for Jon Hamm. Come on down. Here he is. Welcome. Good to see you.
Hi. Thank you for having me, and thank you for coming, and thank you for being so numerous.
It is a good turnout, isn't it?
It's
as I
very
expected.
nice, yes.
Yeah.
I know everyone gets free Apple stuff when you leave here. You know that's part of the deal. I don't think I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. You just take anything you want on the way out.
Now you've done it. Well, congratulations on the film. I've been lucky enough to see it.
Thank you very much.
A lot of fun, inspiring stuff, fun for the family. Also very amusing, as I guess you guys just saw from the trailer. Tell us a bit about your character, because he's based on a real life person, isn't he?
Yes, it is based on a true story. Although we didn't really take very many liberties with it. It really happened. As Bill Paxton's character in the film says, it's not impossible what happened to these two boys, but it is highly improbable. And essentially, this guy, the character I play, J.B. Bernstein, is a sports agent who had the big idea to go over to India and train, sort of repurpose, to find two cricket bowlers and repurpose them into Major League Baseball players. So he sort of barnstormed around India and made up this reality show format sort of contest to find the two best baseball pitchers in India, a country of over 1 billion people that have never played baseball ever in their life. So he found these two boys who could bring it, and within under a year from when they first picked up a baseball, they were competing at an incredibly elite level, and they were drafted into the Major League Baseball organization. It's an incredibly inspiring story about how these boys did it, and to get a chance to meet not only JB, who came up with the idea, but the boys who took this opportunity and ran with it was pretty great for me.
Yeah, fascinating stuff, and as you say, kind of begging to be made into a film, really. What a wonderful true story. But you're talking about him coming up with the idea. Let's have a look at a clip when he pitches it.
Yes.
That's brilliant. So your character's a real risk taker, isn't he? Really?
Well, that sort of sets up that there was definitely a financial imperative,
Yes.
sort of in the big idea of this. But what ends up happening, and actually ended up happening to JB in his life, we showed in the film, is that he is incredibly moved emotionally by these two boys and the incredible risks that they take, coming from out of tiny villages in the middle of India, coming to LA, not speaking English, never having really picked up a baseball, to try and do this, to take advantage of this opportunity. He ends up becoming a bit of a sort of a surrogate father to them, and it profoundly changes his life for the better. And I was able to confirm that was the journey that he went on.
It's wonderful, isn't it? Because I found it very heartwarming in the movie, and I thought, oh, is that what it really happened? Was he really so cynical, and then his heart was melted? But apparently, that's exactly.
It's exactly what happened. He ended up meeting his wife. They have 2 children now, and he has gone back every year since to continue his this $1 million arm program, and has given 6, 7, 8 other kids opportunities where there was none before.
Talking about going back, let's have a little clip when you first go off to India. Great. Now, am I right in thinking that was actually your first day of filming in India?
Yes, and you may have noticed I was sweating a little bit.
Just a little.
That was not fake sweat.
Wow. Okay,
that was in fact, we shot a lot of that on especially the street scenes. Was the very first day we shot in India, and I got out of the car at 6:30 in the morning on a weekday in Mumbai, and there were about 75,000 people between me and the set. They were not extras; they were just people going about their day to day. So it was something you had to navigate. There was no traffic control. There was no lockups or anything. It was just, okay, let's go, and it was brutally hot. So.
Wow.
It was an experience.
How was the rest of your time filming in India?
It was fantastic. We were over there for about a month, and I had never been to Asia, much less India, so it was all brand new for me. And it's but you definitely have to kind of give yourself over to being in such a foreign and exotic place. And it is positively and negatively, it is an assault on all of your senses, and but it was fascinating. We spent a couple weeks in Mumbai, and then we went up to Agra, where the Taj Mahal is, and we shot a couple days in a smaller town, a tiny little village of 5 million people, called Lucknow. It was told to me it was a very small town, very small town. I said, "How big?" They said 5 million. I was like, tiny. So we got to see quite a bit of the country, and it's a beautiful place. It's somewhere I definitely want to go back.
Yeah, wonderful. I'm sure they will welcome you back. Now, your character encounters a bit of culture clash, doesn't he, when he gets there? Shall we have a look at a clip where that all starts to kick in and he realises what he's in for? That's brilliant. And of course, what I liked about it, the roles are kind of reversed. Of course, when you bring the boys back to America and they experience culture clash, don't they? They're kind of like fish out of water, really. Yeah,
it's very much both sides experience the sort of isolation and complete adriftness that you have when you're thrown into a culture that you don't really know anything about. And again, this is based in reality. JB went over there knowing really nothing. And having to kind of react and think on his feet over there, and it says something to his dedication to what he's actually created over there. That he has since gone back every year and done $1 Million Arm every year, but he hasn't. He now speaks the language. Like he's an incredibly intelligent guy, and he's very much committed to the opportunity that this program brings to tons of kids.
Did it change you at all, that experience of going over there and playing this part?
I lost about 15 pounds. That's that was a bit of a change. Yeah, I mean it's the best. It's the best version of what travel should do, is to sort of broaden your horizons and expose you to different cultures and different sensibilities and different ways of doing things. And India is certainly that.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look back, what really stands out for you about your travels that you think, wow, that was just an amazing moment?
If anybody has not been to Mumbai, it is a eye opener. It is an incredibly crowded, incredibly vibrant place that is absolutely soaked in history and it's just so very different from a Western standpoint. It's just it is from the religion to the cuisine to the history. It's just it is. I would go home every day and like Wikipedia the 95 things that I learned that day because I wanted to learn more about them.
Still have so much to learn when you go somewhere like that.
Indeed.
Yeah. Let's talk about a little bit more about what happens when he comes back, and the boys obviously go through trials. But there's also a romance with a neighbour played by Lake Bell.
Yes,
the very wonderful
the
Lake
lovely
Bell.
and talented Lake Bell.
She's fantastic. Tell us more about how you got on with her filming.
I've known Lake for many years. We were actually friends apart from the film, and I've worked on her show. I don't know if you guys get Children's Hospital over here. It's a ridiculously funny show, so you should try to find it online. Just don't pirate it.
Yes.
But I've worked with her before, and she is phenomenally talented and incredibly funny, and also presents this very, for being a beautiful woman, she also presents this very approachable kind of real sensibility as well. So we had a wonderful time together, and we're pretty good together on screen, I think. So yeah, it worked out.
Definitely, because there's a nice kind of will they won't they thing going on throughout the film.
Oh, they will.
Spoiler. Well, actually, we're going to find out from a clip pretty much a little bit of what happens. Let's have a look. That's not only a funny scene, but it kind of exhibits what a lovely relationship your character sort of develops with the guys.
It's and again based in reality. Rinku and Dinesh, the real guys, are still very much a part of JB Bernstein's life. He maintains a presence in their life. Enough can't be said also about Suraj Sharma, Madhur Mittal, and Pitabash Tripathi, who are wonderful in the film, and really provide a lot of the sort of emotional heavy lifting, because it is after all it's their journey too, and they are truly gifted actors and really wonderful. Did
you have any moments where you just couldn't stop laughing on set? Was it a fun set to work on?
Peter Bosch, who plays Amit, is he's very funny. And we would there would be a lot of cutting up on set between those three boys and me.
Did you have a kind of boys' club going on, or was Lake all part of this?
Lake would hang every now and again, but it was a predominantly male set.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So in terms of baseball, I mean, we don't know much about that, or at least I don't know much about that here. What is so inspiring about it to you? Because I know you're a big fan.
I'm actually also oddly a cricket fan. I found myself over here quite a lot working on various projects, and cricket always seems to be on television. So I guess it's because the games are so long, but it does have a lot of similar shared DNA with baseball. And what I really like about it, both games, is that there's no clock. Right. It just takes as long as it takes. And there's something very pastoral about that. There's something very kind of relaxing about that. That I really appreciate, and I've grew up playing baseball, and I grew up sort of idolizing the St. Louis Cardinals, which are my team, my hometown team, and it's it's a lovely sport, and I still play it, which is ridiculous because I'm far too old to be doing anything like that. So next time when you see me and I've got a busted elbow, you'll understand
You'll
why.
know why, exactly. When you say there's no clock and it's very relaxing, is that a way kind of escape from like your hectic life, or have you always sort of felt that?
I've kind of always felt like that. I just like going to watch baseball, and I've had the experience of watching the World Series and the playoffs and professional baseball, but also just like Little League and watching it in high school, and I don't know, it's just always been fun.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Let's talk about the film's appeal now. It's a PG film, so kids can watch it. I think what's nice about this is there is a lot. There's the romance, and there's the sport, and there's the inspiring side, and the boys have maybe got something to relate to for the younger generation. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's first of all, it's a nice opportunity for me to actually have my friends that have children to send them to one of my movies. I really hope they didn't go see Bridesmaids, and I also really quite hope they haven't watched Mad Men. But I could legitimately say, please go see this movie. I think you'll like it, and especially for kids of a certain age, I think it is. It's inspiring. I mean, what these boys went through and the success that they've had has, from what I understand, inspired an entire generation of Indian kids to look up to these guys and say, like, well, those guys did it, and if I work hard enough, I can do it too.
Isn't it wonderful to portray someone who really has changed lives?
It is,
yeah.
And my day job, I play maybe not the nicest character in the world, so it's nice to play someone with heart and sort of a redemptive quality. That's a nice thing too.
Yeah, but in the beginning, actually, which we don't see from the clips there, that your character's a little bit of the playboy.
Well,
right?
He has to come from somewhere to go somewhere, I guess. So yes.
Do there's a little Don Draper there at all?
Very different hair.
Very different hair, absolutely. Yeah. Well, anything else you'd like to talk about relating to the film before we cut to the crowd, and they may have some other questions for you?
I want to hear questions from the people who decided to come here.
Well, let's do that. I think
Friday
one or two of them might have
way.
some questions for you. So if you could wait till the microphone comes to you, please. We have a hand up here. Thank you very much.
Hi. During filming in India, which was your favourite location?
Wow, probably Mumbai. It's we were there the longest, definitely, and it was the most exciting. It's a humongous city with all of the good things that cities have, entertainment-wise and restaurant-wise, and but we also went. I got a chance to see the Taj Mahal in Agra. Which is absolutely breathtaking, and it's almost a cliche at this point to say that it's oh wow, it's a beautiful building, blah blah blah. But it really is a breathtakingly cool building, and that it is one of the wonders of the world for a reason. It is totally breathtaking. So those two places probably.
Thank you very much. Okay. We have a question from over this side here.
Thank you. Hi. Hi.
Hello.
I'm glad you mentioned your day job. I'm one of your Mad Men junkies,
okay.
So it's lovely to see you. And I wanted to know if you're ready to say goodbye to Don Draper.
Well, we have shot the final episodes. We wrapped on. Somebody get some water. We wrapped the final episode of the show on July 3rd in Los Angeles, and it'll those final 7 will start airing in April. I believe in April over here as well. You know, it was 8 years of my life doing that show, and that's about 20% of my time on this planet, and a significantly longer percentage of my career. So it's time for it to end, and it's nice to have it in the rear view, and we all knew it was coming. We all knew it would have an end. So, but I will miss playing that character and playing that part. Well, you're very sweet. Thank you.
Okay, there's some questions in the front here. If we could pass the mic down. Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you for Mad Men, by the way. I just love it.
Well, I don't make it.
Well, you do. What's the biggest honour, a Cardinals bobblehead or an Emmy this weekend?
The bobblehead is pretty cool. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, I didn't bring any with me, unfortunately. I was able to throw out the first pitch at a St. Louis Cardinal game recently, and they gave away little bobblehead toys of my head, which is weird, but pretty cool also. So there, I think I'll take the bobblehead.
Good question. Thank you. More in the front row here, please. Thank you.
Hi, John.
Hello.
Thank you for coming to London Apple Store.
My pleasure.
My name is Sohn. My question is, would you like to do a Marvel superhero movie? Anything Marvel, Disney, Doctor Strange?
I kind of want to be in Guardians of the Galaxy. Is it too late? Yeah, sure. I mean, that would be cool. Superhero movies are awesome. I recently, like everyone else on the planet, saw Guardians of the Galaxy, and I thought it was incredible. I'm looking forward to the Avengers and all of that other stuff. They're making very good movies these days. Yeah, it would be nice. I guess I can ask some people from Disney here if they'll be kind enough to put me in anything. But usually I don't get to make those decisions. Those decisions get handled at a bit of a higher pay grade than mine.
Well, watch this space. Someone in the back row there. Thank you.
Hi, John. I was just
Hello.
wondering what it was like to work with Alan Arkin, because he's one of my favourite actors.
Alan Arkin is amazing. He's in his 80s, and we were over there in India in unforgiving conditions, to say the least. And he is incredibly quick-witted, facile, funny, and kind. But very, very present as an actor. He's absolutely a delight. And it was a total joy to get to work with him. I hope I get the chance again.
Yeah, he's a great part of the film, I agree. We've got a gentleman here with his hand up in the front row. I wonder if we could... Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Why did you give yourself a time limit, 30 years of age, to make it in acting? And if you hadn't got those parts, would you have carried on into your 40s? As you said, you didn't want to become one of those actors at 45.
Well, that's why I did it, because I didn't want to become that sort of cautionary tale. I came out to Los Angeles when I was 25 years old, and I figured 5 years would be enough to see if I could break into the business. It's a pretty significant amount of time, especially when you're 25, and it just seemed like a nice round number, 30, to take stock and say I'm either moving forward with this and finding success, or I'm going to pack it in. So,
if you hadn't got those parts, would you have carried on another 5 years?
That's a very good question, and I don't have the answer to it, because fortunately I did get those parts, and that was incredibly cool. I mean, I turned 30 on the set of a movie, so that was pretty great.
Wonderful, thank you. We've got some more hands up down here. If you would like to pass the mic right to the back there, please. Thank you very much indeed.
Hi, John.
Hello.
You did some directing on Mad Men. Did you enjoy it? And is it something that you'd like to do again?
I did enjoy it. It was directing television is a completely different skill set than directing features, for example. Mostly it's about not running the train off the tracks, and it had been offered to me to direct as far back as I think season 3, and I didn't at that point think I was ready to do it. And then I ended up doing The Town. I watched Ben Affleck direct himself. John Slattery by that point had directed at some point during season 4 he had directed an episode, and I watched Jen do it on Friends with Kids, and so I realized I realized what I was getting into, and realized that it could be done. So it would be a challenge. I knew it would be a challenge. Just simply the amount of screen time I have on the show is a tricky thing to do. Prep work and then post-production work, because we're constantly shooting, but we made it work, and it was a tremendously edifying experience. It was a huge eye-opener for me to see how all of the other departments work that we as actors really never get to see, and it gave me a much deeper appreciation for all of the people whose work goes in the show. I mean, we have 500 people that work on the show in various capacities, and it's safe to say that without any one of them, the show wouldn't be as good as it is. So it was nice to actually get to really learn that in a hands-on way.
Great, good question. Thank you. There's a lady here who's a hand up in the row in front. Please, if you could pass it down. Thank you.
Hi, what was the most surprising culture difference between the US and India?
There are two that really hit hard when you get there, and one is the population. Every flat surface is covered with people, in a very kind of arresting way, and consequently, the other one that's incredibly hard to deal with is the poverty. It's a strange fact, but Mumbai is the home of the single most expensive residential property in the world. It costs over $1 billion. It's one person's house. And it's also the city that has the greatest collection of billionaires in the world as well. And yet it is, the poverty is breathtaking. And it's a hard kind of duality to accept. That part was tricky. It was very, very tricky to get my head around.
Thank you. Let's go towards the back there, please. Lady there, thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
Have you ever been starstruck?
Have I ever been starstruck? Yes. Yes, in fact, and it's I didn't particularly like it. I didn't know what to say to Jeff Bridges when I met him, because I wanted to say about 40 things, and I couldn't think of one thing. So I literally stood there with a dumb smile on my face and forgot that he was putting his hand out to shake my hand. So I sort of just stared at him, and for an uncomfortably long time. And he had just won an Academy Award. He literally had an Academy Award in his other hand, and I was like, eventually something came out of my mouth that must have sounded enough like English that we had a bit of a conversation, but it was that was the last time I was starstruck.
Have you met him since?
I have not.
No.
I'm assuming whenever he sees me coming, he immediately crosses the street or
Run
turns
away.
around. Oh God, that idiot again. He's going to breathe on me.
Great, okay. Questions over here, thank you.
I enjoyed watching the ESPYs this year.
Thank you.
They were very good for the first time in a while. What was working with Larry David like?
You're talking about Clear History, a
Yes.
movie I did with Larry David for HBO. It was great. I like many in the room probably. I'm a big Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm fan, and to get an opportunity to work with Larry on that kind of improvisational, really kind of quick-witted, fun project, and then to also, I mean, that we had so many great people in that film. It was really fun. It was a blast, and he actually told me, he's like, "Why would you ever want to memorize lines anymore?" And I was like, let's see, you make a good point, actually, but it was a blast. there was like a treatment. So you had kind of rough outlines of the scenes, and we knew where we were going. It was just a matter of the most fun way to get there.
Thank you. Okay, there's more in the front row here. Thank you very much.
Hi.
I like your necklace very
Thank
much.
you.
Is that an owl?
It is. I've got 2 owls on my finger.
It's an owl city happening here. This is amazing. Oh, when you turn it around, I can totally tell it's an owl. Okay.
It's back to Mad Men again.
Okay.
Do you know what's going to happen to the costumes?
What's going to happen to all the costumes?
Yeah.
They go
Are they
back.
going to auction them?
No, I think.
Because I wouldn't mind a few of those dresses, to be honest.
Well, in fact, I think some of the ones that Janie made, Janie Bryant, who's our costume designer, may in fact be auctioned off for charity. But the majority of the suits that I wear and the clothes that most of us wear are rented from a costume shop in
Do you know
Los
the name?
Angeles. Western Costume.
Great. I'll be there.
It's in Burbank.
Thank you.
Very close to the airport.
Okay, thank you. There's another one in the front row here if you wouldn't mind passing down. Thank you.
Hi there, John. When you have a particularly dramatic or sad scene to do in a movie or TV, do you think of when you found out when Pujols was signing with the Angels?
I was actually a supporter of that trade. I was sorry to see Albert Pujols go. This is a very obscure baseball conversation that these two Americans are going to have, so please humor us. But I've thought that everybody won in that trade. I was sad to see him go. I would have liked to see him end his career as a Cardinal, but I'm also happy to see that he's had a lot of success and he's been reunited with David Freese now. So there's 2 of the members of the 2011 World Series Championship St. Louis Cardinals back together again.
Good stuff. Okay, who's got the mic? There's back there, sure thing. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, John. You've proven many times that you have very good comedic timing, especially on SNL. Is it hard to find really good comedy scripts in Hollywood these days?
Well, you're very sweet to say that, first of all. I don't generally consider myself very funny. I think I have the unique talent of standing next to funny people, which has proven me to be very useful. Comedy is hard, as somebody once famously said. Dying is easy. Comedy is hard. It is hard because there are only a handful of really great comedies that get made every year. I happen to think that one of the ones that I made, Bridesmaids, was one of the really great ones. Well, thank you. And that was strictly that movie. My participation in that movie came about because I met Kristen hosting Saturday Night Live. And she and Annie wrote this incredible script, and she wanted me to be in it. And she I think originally wanted me to play the Chris O'Dowd part, and I couldn't do it because of the show. I had no time. But so she's like, "Well, will you be in it in another role?" And I was like, "Sure. What's the role?" She's like, "Well, we haven't written it yet, but we're gonna get you in there." And then I read it, and the first 3 pages are us having crazy sex all the time. I'm like, all right, Kristen. Not cool. But it was cool, and it was a pleasure to be asked. You know, Paul Feig directed that film, and Paul had directed an episode of Mad Men. Also, the creator of Freaks and Geeks, one of the sort of seminal television shows of the 90s. And his comic sensibility and mine hew very closely together. So I just have been incredibly fortunate, is all I can say, is to be sort of put in these little parts that are somehow funny.
Have you got any plans to work with Jennifer again, your partner?
She's kicking a few ideas around right now, and never say never. You know, it's making a movie. The last time, in fact, I was here at on this very stage was for Friends with Kids, and it's a lot of work to write and direct and produce and star and all of that stuff. So it usually takes her a couple years to kind of recharge from that. And she wanted to focus on being an actor a little bit more. She's done like 2 or 3 plays in a row over in New York, and it's really been good for her. And it's but I can always tell, because she'll start kind of like thinking about an idea, and then once she starts that process, she won't give it up.
You can see it germinating.
Yes.
Yeah, good stuff. Right, about over here. I think maybe another question. Thank you.
Hi, John. Sorry, it's another Mad Men question.
It's fine.
Come on, you
I
knew
do
you were
know
going to get
that I'm
some
on the show. You're not surprising me that I'm on Mad Men.
I just wondered if you could tell us what your favourite Don Draper moment was.
I usually kind of have two answers to this because it's when we shot the pilot. There's a moment at the end of the pilot where you've seen this man go through this day, this person who you think is one person, and then they reveal at the end of the show that he's married and has 2 children, and it's a very big reveal. You think this guy is single, he's got a mistress, he's got a girlfriend, he's got a whatever, and then you realize he has a family. That says a lot about Don. But there's another moment that happens later on in the series. It's actually not. It's a series of moments actually. But later on in the show, in the 4th season, after Don has gone through a lot of hardship, including getting divorced from Betty and kind of trying to navigate the shambles of his life, where he and Peggy Olson, played by Elizabeth Moss, have kind of a hash it out, knock down, drag out fight. There's an episode called The Suitcase, and there's a moment in that episode where Don, who has finally realized he's lost Anna Draper, who is the only person to this point who really knows his past. Pete's found out a little, and Betty found out a little as well, but he's lost her. She's dead, and then he gets this news, and he breaks down, and he realizes that Peggy has seen all of this, and he says, I've just lost the only person that ever really knows me, and she says, no, you haven't. And it's a beautiful defining moment in their relationship, which is a relationship that's very fraught with a lot of ups and downs, to say the least. But it's a nice. I've always said it's not a mistake that the Mad Men begins on Peggy's first day at work, and in many ways she is a counterpoint to Don, and it's a nice relationship to watch over the course of the season. And I won't say anything more about that.
Thank you. That's beautifully put. We've got time for 1 or 2 more questions. Where's the mic? We can pass it over here to that lady. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Sorry, I've been doing this a long time, guys. I was on the radio at 8 a.m. or something like that. So
you're doing great.
I may be a little punchy.
Over the past 5 and 10 years, Hollywood's kind of churned out quite a lot of sequels and reimaginings or remakes. Do you find it challenging to try and find a original script, or do you find that you've done stuff like in TV, like the Young Doctor's Notebook, and finding things that kind of stand out rather than just sort of stay the same?
It's look, it's the business model in Hollywood has definitely shifted, as you mentioned. It's the kind of middle ground movies like this, or like The Town, for example, or even Bridesmaids, that are made for considering a studio budget, they're only made for $30 million. They kind of don't get made anymore, because the big movies, the tent poles, the sequels, the franchises are the ones that really generate revenue. So it's kind of that narrative has kind of fallen to either independent filmmaking or increasingly television. And it's there's no stigma attached to. There used to be the big screen and the small screen and the silver screen and then the crappy TV screen, but more and more people are finding that the kind of rewarding storytelling is happening more and more in television. And it doesn't mean there's not a market for this. The movie did very well in the States, and people responded very, very well to it. But it's just that the business is kind of moving seemingly inexorably, but gradually away from that. But you look at the the 5 actors who I'm nominated with for an Emmy, and it's mostly movie guys. You know, it's Kevin Spacey and Jeff Daniels and Matt McConaughey and Woody Harrelson and me and Brian. I mean, it's we're outnumbered, but it says a lot about the quality of storytelling on TV and the willingness of networks to give these showrunners a lot of creative leeway.
Thank you for that question. Time for one more question about the film $1 Million Arm. If anyone's got anything they would like to ask about that.
You
Not that I'm
can still
sick of
ask
that,
about
but
Mad Men. It's fine.
I thought it would wrap things up. The lady behind you, thank you so much.
Hi, Jon.
Hello.
So back to $1 Million Arm.
Oh.
What was it that interested you in the script? Was it the contrast in character or just the storyline itself?
It was those two things definitely, but mostly it was the fact that it was a true story. It was grounded in reality. I always feel like when you see something as a true story, you're immediately everything takes on a little more resonance emotionally or whatever. And you know, it's a what you also said too was attractive to me. The fact that it wasn't, you know, it was about 180 degrees away from Don Draper. I'm not to say that I don't like playing Don Draper, but I get to do that, you know, 6 months out of the year. It's nice to do something different with the other 6 months. So it was a combination of those factors. Also, we had an amazing creative team on this film. Craig Gillespie, who did Lars and the Real Girl and Fright Night, has proven himself in every genre he's set out and really made a beautiful film. And Tommy McCarthy, who wrote the script, or adapted the script, I should say, who's, you know, written The Station Agent and Win-Win and The Visitor, these beautiful films. He's an incredibly talented guy. And Mark and Gordon, who produced the movie, have worked with Disney in the past and have made some of my favorite sports movies, Miracle and The Rookie and things like that. So we had an incredible team put together and a phenomenal cast, and it was like, okay, let's do this, and I got a free trip to India.
Can't say fairer than that. Well, Jon, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure
Thank you for
talking to you.
having me.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for
all
coming.
Thank you.
It's Friday. Go out. Have fun.